Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Mallard Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. lawmg.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk.
South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg announced his run for president this week. We took a look at his track record as mayor and what it could mean for 2020.
After years of delays, Bloomington Convention Center plans are expanding as the project moves forward.
The challenge has been that until very recently, we didn't know what this thing was that we were trying to design.
And years of population decline in rural areas has forced many churches to share pastors.
We do pick the slack up and stuff. We do the everyday running of the church. Pastors, they can't do it all.
How rural churches are filling the gaps left by pastors with multiple congregations. These stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, if you hadn't heard of South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg, that probably changed this week. Mayor Pete, as he likes to be called, made a two-day swing through Iowa to kick off his presidential campaign and spent his spare moments making appearances on national TV. As Barbara Brozier reports, it's part of a whirlwind week that started with his official campaign announcement.
Much of Buttigieg's speech focused on how once industrial Midwestern cities like South Bend are models for innovation at the national level. And he says his track record as mayor is the perfect primer for president. The same year Pete Buttigieg won his first term as South Bend mayor, Newsweek included the community on a list of dying cities. What is particularly troubling for this small city is that the number of young people declined by 2.5% during the previous decade, casting further doubt on whether this city will ever be able to recover, the article said. Buttigieg used that as a rallying cry.
I ran for mayor in 2011 knowing that nothing like Studebaker would ever come back, but believing that we would, our city would, if we had the courage to reimagine our future.
The former Studebaker plant, where Buttigieg announced his run for president, is now being repurposed as a tech hub. And it's that kind of innovation, Buttigieg says, he would bring to the White House.
And a moment like that calls for hopeful and audacious voices from communities like ours. And yes, it calls for a new generation of leadership in this country.
Buttigieg has pointed to his successes as mayor as qualification enough for the nation's highest office, even though no one in history has ever made such a leap. He boasts about the more than $100 million in economic development downtown seen since South Bend's Smart Streets initiative, which most notably converted one-way streets to two-way. And he talks about reversing the trend of people leaving South Bend. U.S. Census data shows an estimated population increase of 1% from 2010 to 2017.
More people are moving into South Bend than we've seen in a generation. Thousands of new jobs have been added in our area, billions in investment.
But even some of Buttigieg's supporters acknowledge much of that investment went to downtown.
Well, I feel like he should try to focus more on the neighborhoods.
The city did spend money on the west side as part of Buttigieg's plan to address 1,000 vacant properties in 1,000 days. The city repaired some homes, but tore most of them down, leaving several empty lots on some blocks. And other critics, including Indiana's Republican Party, are quick to point out Buttigieg doesn't deserve sole credit for the city's successes. In a press release sent out ahead of the event, the GOP points out the state gave $3.5 million through its Regional Cities initiative to help restore the shuttered Studebaker building.
Looking at his record more carefully, points out that Studebaker wasn't just him. In fact, a lot of people could argue it's not him, it's several other entities. They can make an argument about the Chase building downtown. That was not him. It's a bunch of people.
Downs says how Buttigieg reacts to those criticisms as his national profile increases will be key to his campaign's success heading into 2020. And he says another weak point opponents will likely latch onto is his lack of experience dealing with more complex issues like international affairs. But the lack of traditional experience some will fault Buttigieg for is also what appeals to many of his fans.
I think the actual on-the-ground experience he's had here in South Bend being mayor and doing the day-to-day, the bottom-up experience is pretty valuable, and you could stack it against any other kind of experience that a lot of the other candidates may have.
When you look at Pete Buttigieg, I mean, it's like you think back to John Kennedy or Barack Obama. I mean, he's that kind of person that I think can really pull people together.
The big question is whether Buttigieg will be able to keep this momentum going felt this week in South Bend into 2020. Reporting in South Bend for Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
In the hours following Buttigieg's announcement, his campaign reported another $1 million in donations. The leader of the Indiana House, Brian Bosma, is skipping votes on a gambling-related bill after a casino investor arranged a local government contract for his law firm. The Republican House Speaker is working for the Vigo County Capital Improvement Board, which supports the bill to allow a proposed Terre Haute casino. Bosma says he was contacted about the work by an investor in Spectacle Entertainment, which is seeking to move a casino license to Terre Haute. Bosma says the contract hasn't influenced his legislative actions. Earlier this year, news broke that Spectacle's CEO, Republican Governor Eric Holcomb, to private jet flights as they traveled together for out-of-state meetings. And that news comes just weeks away from the close of this year's legislative session. Lawmakers are busy at work. Brandon Smith joins us with the latest from the Statehouse. Hello, Brandon. First, lawmakers have less than 2 weeks to pass a state budget, and a new revenue forecast came out this week that projected the state will collect a lot less over the next 2 years than previously thought. So how is that forecast affecting the already contentious debate among lawmakers on different sides of the aisle?
Yeah, well, between the revenue forecast that says the state will take in less money than originally anticipated, plus a new Medicaid forecast that projects more money that will have to be spent on that program, lawmakers will have about $100 million less to work with than previous forecasts projected. Now, legislative leaders are saying that will make some tough conversations over the next week or so, including resetting their priorities just a little bit. So that'll sort of prolong the haggling, but they did also point out that the big priorities, education spending, DCS, they are aligned on.
A bill that would have expanded what some call predatory lending practices died in the House this week. So what happened with that bill, and where does that leave us?
Well, what happened was it wasn't even called down for a vote on the House floor before a critical deadline, which indicates that the Republicans in the caucus meeting, the private caucus meeting, I should emphasize, decided that there simply wasn't enough support for it, which is why it wasn't called down for a vote. What the bill did was it created a new loan opportunity somewhere between the low payday loans and traditional bank loans. Proponents said it gave another option for Hoosiers with bad credit who couldn't otherwise get a loan. But as you pointed out, opponents of the bill said the annual percentage rates of up to 167% were simply unacceptable. Now, this is the second year in a row that this bill has been proposed, so I wouldn't necessarily rule out that it'll come back next year.
All right, lawmakers are creating a system where the wrongfully imprisoned can be paid out, I think, $50,000 for each year they spend in prison. So now how would this work, and would it prevent them from suing the state?
Right. Well, the first thing they'd have to do is they have to prove that they were actually innocent, and the bill sets out exactly how they would go about doing it. For instance, it's not enough that your conviction were overturned, say. You would actually have to prove you weren't in any way involved in the crime you were accused of committing. Now, you could take the payout, which, as you pointed out, is $50,000 for each year you spend behind bars, but you wouldn't then be able to sue the state. If you sue the state, you can't take from the fund, and those court awards are often a lot larger than what the payouts are offering, but it takes longer to collect them.
Okay, a very busy Brandon Smith at the Statehouse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
And now for headlines, here's the latest on this week's top stories. Former Environmental Protection Agency Chief Scott Pruitt is registered as an energy lobbyist in Indiana. This comes as fossil fuels interests in the state are fighting the proposed closure of several coal-fired power plants. A lobbying disclosure report for Pruitt filed yesterday provides little insight into what he's doing in Indiana, but several clues point to work on behalf of the coal industry. Pruitt served as the EPA administrator for about 5 months. Like other of President Donald Trump's appointees, he signed an agreement not to lobby the federal agency he served for 5 years after leaving his position. Republican U.S. Senator Mike Braun met with members of the Terre Haute Chamber as part of his Solutions Tour this week. During the luncheon, Braun laid out key issues he says he believes are most important to Hoosiers.
That's what you're going to get out of me, focusing on the tough issues, the cost of health care. If we'd ever get around to tackling infrastructure, we did that in our own state here with a good long-term road funding plan. I'd like to weigh in on those practical issues that benefit all of us.
Braun has openly criticized the general lack of efficiency in Washington after spending his first few months in office. He has also made health care a primary focus and said Republicans can't keep pushing for a repeal of the Affordable Care Act without having a clear replacement. A judge says the state's decision to block Bloomington's annexation plan is unconstitutional. The state said the annexation plan was too large and didn't give residents enough time to give feedback. But Judge Frank Nardi says the city was following rules laid out by state law, which is something Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton said during this week's Ask the Mayor.
It was exactly what the legislature required. In terms of too much, there have been bigger annexations in the state. We were in the middle of the process to do the annexation. It was shrinking as the boundaries were being changed.
State lawmakers inserted language in the budget bill in 2017 that halted the annexation. Nardi wrote that the legislation violated the state's constitution's single subject clause because it was included in the budget bill. Nardi also said it was unconstitutional because Bloomington's annexation attempt was singled out. He said there wasn't anything unique about Bloomington's annexation action. The number of mumps cases at Indiana University's Bloomington campus has more than doubled in the past week. There are about 17 cases associated with the outbreak, an increase of 10 since last week. The IU Health Center sees 3 to 4 students a day who want to be tested for mumps because they're exhibiting symptoms. IU spokesperson Chuck Carney says many of the students with the virus are linked.
Of the 16 of these confirmed cases, we know that 9 definitely were associated with one fraternity house. So we feel like it's fairly well contained. It is on campus, but it is not all the way across campus at this point.
Just over half the members of that fraternity opted to get a third MMR dosage. Carney says IU is advising students with mumps symptoms to get tested and isolate themselves from others, but more cases are likely. Carney says those periods will be longer if additional cases pop up. The university saw just 5 mumps cases in 2016. Indiana University has approval to start work on a $56 million renovation of 2 Bloomington campus residence halls that faced extensive mold problems last fall. The State Budget Committee signed off Wednesday on IU's plans for overhauling the Foster and McNutt complexes. About 2,500 beds will be unavailable during the renovation, which has prompted IU to spend $9.5 million on reserving space at near-campus apartment complexes for students. A new study from the United States Department of Agriculture says while more acres of land are being farmed, there are fewer farms in Indiana. Brock Turner reports.
Newly released farm census data collected in 2017 shows there were about 319,000 more acres of land farmed in Indiana compared to 5 years earlier. But the number of farms has dropped by about 2,000 over the same period. That's because land is often sold between family farms in Indiana.
You know, 65% of the land mass in Indiana is agricultural land, and it's pretty much stayed that way, that percentage, for a long time. So it's going to get farmed.
White says trade disputes and strong yields are pushing commodity prices down, and that's making it harder for farmers to turn a profit. Some are having to increase the number of acres they farm or animals they raise to make it economically viable.
When you look at the corn, soybean, pork industry, the margins have gotten so thin that you'll see a consolidation in there. The only way to get a larger net profit is to increase the acreage.
This year's data follows the trend of previous surveys as the market forces existing farmers to take on more. White says farmers could be sowing the seeds for future problems as that debt mounts. However, he doesn't anticipate acreage numbers to change dramatically.
2012 we had high commodity markets, and now we have low commodity markets, and so that's kind of a perspective on that aspect of it. But you'll see still the same numbers out there, I think, eventually.
Future farm census reports could provide a clearer picture of how current trade policies are impacting Hoosier farmers financially. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. The city of Bloomington is purchasing new property that will move the Monroe County Convention Center project further into the city's downtown. And some rural churches are having to share pastors in an effort to cut costs. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
In a time of change, where can you find in-depth reporting and thoughtful analysis? Washington Week on PBS. Join moderator Robert Costa.
When I was at the Capitol this week, I encountered the same.
And a panel of award-winning journalists.
You're seeing a divided nation, and you're seeing.
For insights and perspective.
Tonight there was a key development in the
Senate. You won't find anywhere else.
What a week.
Washington Week.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. The Monroe Convention Center is expanding north. The city's purchase of the property off College and 3rd Streets will push the Convention Center expansion project further into downtown Bloomington. This week's second public forum focused on site design. Sketches of hotel, parking, banquet, exhibition, and retail locations line the walls of the convention center. But a key change to the project comes with the city's $5 million purchase of the Bunger and Robertson property.
You can visually see the convention center from the courthouse, and you can see the courthouse from that corner. And so it really starts to draw people to the convention center. All of a sudden it feels like it's part of the downtown.
Stakeholders and residents explored site plan configurations during open work sessions with architect Convergence Design and Schmidt Associates. One sketch proposes an elevated arts garden connecting buildings above the corner of College and 3rd Streets. Others show plazas and walkway bridges crossing the street.
Something to have that's very unique to Bloomington that we can go out and promote and have those groups come here. That's what we're after, and I'm seeing that in these diagrams, so that's exciting to us.
The architects hope to be back in May with the site plan cost proposal to begin the design work.
The challenge has been that until very recently, we didn't know what this thing was that we were trying to design, so it's starting to come into focus.
A private developer would build and design the hotel portion of the expansion once the site plan is approved. The $30 million for the convention center expansion comes from a 1% county food and beverage tax increase that took effect February of 2018. As people continue to move away from rural areas, there's a new trend that's developing in churches there. Data shows fewer people are attending services regularly, and that's leading some churches to start sharing pastors. My colleague Brock Turner has the story of one such pastor in southern Indiana.
Let's see, we've been in Texas, New Mexico, we've been in Alaska, and back to New Mexico, and back to Alaska again. We've been in Oklahoma, and now we're here in Indiana.
As a pastor at Seventh-day Adventist churches for nearly 20 years now, Melvin Matthews has gotten accustomed to doing a lot of driving.
It's a bit frustrating for me to spend more time actually traveling than ministering, so to speak.
While many churches, especially those in metros with larger populations, have a pastor or group of pastors dedicated to serving a single church, in rural Indiana, that's not always the case.
It's an interesting comparison between, just pastoring one church, which we did in Albuquerque and in Tulsa, to be pastoring four. It's really kind of hard for me to compare it in a way because I spend so much time on the road during the week.
During an average week, Matthews estimates he travels nearly 200 miles across southern Indiana, mostly between the four churches he's responsible for pastoring. Many of those miles are spent with his wife of 28 years, Carol.
We were downtown Chicago sitting in a blues bar and talking about, I think I'd like to go back to church. And it was like, really? Me too. And so that was our decision.
While it's more common for Seventh-day Adventist church pastors to travel, it's a trend that's developing across the country. According to the National Congregation Study commissioned by Duke University professor Mark Chaves, in 2006, only 18% of rural churches had a primary pastor that served another congregation. The most recent data compiled in 2012 showed nearly 1/3 of rural churches across the United States shared their pastor with another congregation.
About half of rural churches have a full-time clergy person compared to about 3/4 of urban churches that do. And kind of another angle on that is that there's more of the clergy who work in rural churches also serve other churches.
As he drives to the 11 a.m. service in Bedford, Matthews believes there's something special about these churches despite their small size. Cedar Ridge in Paoli, Indiana, has a spot in every service for a children's message, but today there weren't children in the congregation. Bedford Seventh-day Adventist Church was a bit more fortunate. 7 children participated in their message, but that doesn't mean the aging population isn't of concern to some of their younger members.
It worries me sometimes because there's not a whole lot of youth in the church. I am one of the only people that will grow up in this church unless we bring other people in. I am going to be one of the only people leading this church. We don't have a lot of youth to lead the church.
As elders of the church and stuff, we take and we do pick the slack up and stuff. We do the everyday running of the church. Pastors, they can't do it all. It's the lay workers that has to pick the slack up and go out into the communities and visit the sick and do so. We all work together on it. The elders, the pastors, the conference, everything works together as one unit.
And it's that togetherness that Matthews says makes each church so special.
In a large church, there's people that just, you see them, but you don't really get to know them for one reason or another, maybe busyness or jobs or their travel. But it seems like when you're around the smaller churches that you just really get to know people better.
Matthews says he wishes he could be a member at each of the churches he pastors. He credits them for creating a welcoming community that many churchgoers say is vital to maintaining a sense of connectedness.
In the small church, with a couple of exceptions, I think that it's a closer-knit bunch of people, whether it's weddings or funerals or just getting together and fellowshipping and have some social events that go on. It's just really nice to be able to, that they feel like the normal flow of their church life is continuing and they just depend on it and live from it.
And the members agree.
Best part about our church and stuff, the people really and stuff. You got all these different people coming together, worshiping and stuff, and it's like a family. The bigger churches, yeah, they got one pastor and stuff, but in the rural churches like we are and stuff, we ain't never had a pastor that was here. We always had pastors that took and had 2, 3 churches, 4 and stuff. So, you get used to it and you just work around it.
After this long day, Matthews is looking forward to visiting a flower farm. He and his wife start planning their next week on the way home. Easter choir practice in Bedford is proving to be the most difficult to fit into their busy schedules. But they're not discouraged. They both view this time as a blessing. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
And members of the Indiana Geological and Water Survey are building a life-size replica of a 10-foot tall sloth that went extinct 12,000 years ago. While the bones were discovered in the banks of the Ohio River, a geologist has discarded them in 1947.
They were tossed out, both out of the window or put out for the trash. So the skeletons of the megalonyx, also some mastodon and mammoth bones, were thrown out of Owen Hall.
The sloth's skeleton will be replicated using 3D printing. The final exhibit showcasing the 10-foot 3D sculpture is expected to open at the IU Bicentennial Festival in September. And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.